yours. Welcome, everyone. For everyone that's just joined, we're going to take maybe a minute or two just to let everyone, who's still joining to come through. If you're new to Zoom, you should see a control panel at the bottom, and there may be 3 dots, or you may just see the chat box. Just locate the chat box because we're going to use that for questions and answers throughout the training. And while we wait, just let me know in the chat box, are you a new center or an existing service? And what are you looking to get out of this accounts training, right? Do you have specific questions? Pop them in the chat. I'm quickly going to go live to Facebook so that we have a recording of this. And yeah, I won't be long. Oh, sorry, and I forgot to mention, let me know if you can hear me and see my screen. I'll put that in the chat as well. Can you hear me and see my screen? Just to make sure everything's connected properly. Yes. Awesome. All right, sounds like everyone can see and hear me. Perfect. So yeah, just put in the chat box, new service or existing service, and what you want to get out of this accounts training. And I'll talk about how we've tweaked the training a little bit as well. Awesome. For those of you that may not know already, Owner has a Facebook group called the Owner Community, and it's a great way to catch up on trainings that have been, conducted in the past, as well as just, connecting with the community that we've built. So it's a great place to go. I'll put it in the chat box. It's really easy. Owner. There we go. Perfect. And I'm just going to jump on Facebook now for anyone that's on Facebook, so I can monitor the comments there as well. There we go. Awesome, guys. Cool. There's a lot of people on, which is great. And we're getting some questions coming through as well, which is nice as well. Awesome. I will go through the questions in a moment and see how we can jump on. All right. I think it's enough time setting up. Oh, someone else just joined. Perfect timing. Let's get into it. All right, guys. My name is Peter. I'm the onboarding manager here at Owner, and I'll be taking you through the training today. Owner has actually taken a shift in the way we do our trainings. So we used to have 2 trainings per week on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Now we'll be throwing out daily trainings at you guys, right? So from Monday through Friday, every single day there'll be a training, probably shorter in length, but you'll be exposed to a lot more topics as well. Okay, so plug into those. We'll be updating everyone's calendars on what trainings will be happening, and they generally will have some type of theme. So generally on Tuesdays we'll be doing accounts. Fridays we'll be doing CCS. So that used to be one big training. Now it's split up. Wednesdays we'll be doing questions and answers. Thursday we'll be doing the app training, and I think Monday is maybe more the admin side, right? So yeah, keep in mind and keep in touch with those. So in in conjunction with that, so we've split up the CCS and accounts training, and now we'll just be focusing on the accounts. We'll do a little bit of a walkthrough for the newcomers, and then we'll go through any questions you guys might have, or just common questions that we get from a support point of view. Okay, awesome. In case you're brand new to any Owner training, the way we do them is we mute the microphone, but we use the chat boxes or comments on Facebook if you're on there. Ask any questions you want along the way. We also have questions at the end as well. Cool. So just going to quickly go through the chat box to see. All right, we're new. We just want to get more knowledge to go live next week. Perfect. Rachel, if you're doing CCS, I'd also recommend the Friday training or the pre-recorded videos that we've got. That will be helpful as well. New, that's fine. All right, here's a few questions. Full-time discount. How can this be applied? Public holiday discount. How can I set this up? Okay, with those discounts, can you just elaborate just a little bit further? I have a feeling I think I know what you mean, but are you just saying like if they attend 5 days a week, they get slightly different rates? And for example, public holiday discount, are you talking about if they go on holidays, like a holiday rate kind of thing? Or are you talking about when there's a public holiday? Perfect. And casual bookings on and off. Okay, awesome. So it sounds like we're getting a little bit more fee related question. 5 days, 4 days. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So just really quickly, if you guys haven't jumped onto it, yesterday, my co-worker, but also owner of the company, Kiang, he's actually done a great webinar on the fee matrix that we've just rolled out. That's going to answer a lot of these questions about how do we give different fees. I'm happy to touch on it briefly here, just to sort of answer those questions. So maybe what we'll do is we'll just pause the accounts and walk through just for 2 seconds, and we'll quickly talk about these rate things. I won't go into them too much detail, but surely I can answer your questions for you. So if you guys aren't aware, owners now transitioned to a fee matrix sort of structure as opposed to ad hoc, right? So in the past, we used to be able to change the children's profiles and put whatever fee we wanted in there. We used to go into the attendances and put whatever fee we wanted in there. That left a little bit of room for error, right? And also didn't have fee integrity. So now we've transitioned all of that to what we call our fee matrix. So moving forward, if you would like, just get in touch with our support team and we can turn on the fee matrix for your center. And what that will do is when you go to center, manage rooms, you now will have firstly a different look and secondly a different way you structure your fees. So you can actually create all these different fee codes that you guys have inside your center. So different structures you might have, like in the chat box, a discount for full timers, right? You might have a different rate for each room, and if they attend if they attend 5 days per week, so full time in each of those rooms, you want to give them a slightly different rate. Okay. Previously, it was a little bit more tricky to manage that. You'd have to change each child individually. Now you can actually create that through what we call the fee codes. Okay. So, well, under your rooms, you'll have these fee matrix here, right? Where you can actually create your new matrix on the left-hand side here and apply a name for it, keeping in mind that you do this on a per room level. Okay. And you can actually copy this across different rooms as well. And I'll show you in a sec. So this is touching on from yesterday's training a little bit, right? So here on the fee name, you put full-time. You can call it whatever you want, right? Let's say, for example, full-time rate. And let's say, for example, this room's fee is normally $100. If their full-time rate, you probably, if you offer 10-hour sessions, you probably put them on a 10-hour session or the full day rate, right? Which would probably be like that one, 7:30 to 5:30. And then here in the regular rate, you'll put the discounted rate. So if normally the normal rate is $100, you want to give them a $4 discount. Here you'll just charge them $96. Okay. So anyone that has this fee structure applied to their profile, they'll only be charged $96 instead of their normal rate. Does that make sense? And you add that onto the matrix. Similarly, on any sort of fee structure you create can also have a different casual rate attached. So you might want to be able to give them $96 if they attend full rate of care. But let's say, for example, for a different type of code, you might want to give a casual rate as well. You can do that. Okay. So for example, before and after school care, before school care that's permanently booked will be one rate. Before school care that's casually booked will be a different rate. Okay. Similarly, you can do holiday rates this way as well. Okay. Just maybe most centers I know do like a 50% discount. So you might have like normal rate, right? And that will be $100. You'll have 5 day a week rate, and that'll be $96. And then you'll have holiday rate, and that will be $50, right? And you add each one of those onto the matrix, and then you start to see them here, depending on what name you've given them, depending on what rate you've given them, and so on and so forth. And you can apply them to your children, and you can see which children have actually had these applied, okay? This fee matrix stuff is brand new. We built it last week, finalizing it as we go, and it's live for you guys to use now. Just get in touch with owner and you can see that. Okay, cool. And touching on from yesterday, you can then run this fee matrix report once it's turned on to see all your different fees, all your different rates, who's on them, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can then use these fee structures on individual tenancies and in the children's profiles. Awesome. Yes, yesterday's session was recorded and it's on our YouTube channel. Okay, I think it's even on Facebook. I think we even emailed it to people, so it's everywhere. But if you don't know where to go, just go to YouTube. So let's say, for example, right now, I want to check out owner's trainings. What I always do, because I always forget, I just jump on to YouTube. If it decides to load, oh, here you go. It's right there. Webinar, new fee matrix in owner. Okay, it was posted, I think, last night. Awesome. Cool. All right, guys, let's get into the account side of things. So we'll start from scratch. So what we've been using right now is what we call the administration portal. This is where you run your center as an admin from the back end, right? A lot of this account stuff that we're going to talk about today will happen from the back end. And I will also show you with screenshots what the parents can see from their side as well. So when we talk about the accounts, and I did have slides somewhere here, perfect. When we talk about the accounts, what we're going to go through is how to set it up, okay? Especially if the difference between whether you're in arrears or in advance, okay? Because that's going to play a big part on how your accounts work moving forward. How you actually create what we call your financial accounts, okay? So you can actually get your statements and invoices moving forward on those accounts and seeing the up-to-date balances and so on. And how parents can actually complete the direct debit forms, right? And the correct and the options that you tick from your end. We'll then move into talking about the invoices and statements and then any other considerations, right? Then we'll get into the question time. You can ask any questions you want, okay? Guys, feel free to ask questions as you have already. As we go through the training, I'll be more than happy to answer everything as well, okay? Oh, someone also asked, can casual bookings be turned on and off, right? Just really quickly. Yes, they can. Just if you can elaborate a little bit further what you want, we can explore that a little bit later as well. Cool. So the first thing you want to do when you're talking about accounts is come here to CCS and activate update details. Now, it doesn't matter if your service does CCS or not. This is just where the account stuff live. Okay, so if you don't have access to this section here, just get in touch with owner. We can give you access and you'll be able to see this setup family billing structure here. Okay, now with the family billing structure, the first thing you'll see is billing method. Here's where you choose whether you're in advance or in arrears. Now, even if you're not doing CCS, that's fine. Just maybe choose, bill in advance with no estimating. If your center does do CCS, you'll basically be choosing either after CCS comes in, you bill your family. So that's what we call in arrears, or you'll be billing in advance, whether you estimate the CCS or don't, right? If you just bill with a gap fee for a future week, you'll just be billing in advance with estimating. If you're a brand new service and you're not sure what to choose, just note that the CCS department generally recommend billing in arrears, just because everything will be confirmed. So all the attendances have happened because it's for last week, and all the CCS has come in and it's like official. So you don't have to play guesswork, right? You're not estimating, you're not guessing anything. It's all happened, then you bill your families, right? That's what's recommended. The next section here is session of care. Always use session of care. Never change this unless you get owner's permission, okay? If you're in a situation where you're occasional care and you bill your families per minute, based on the time that they attend the center and so on and so forth, only then can you change it, but with our permission, okay? You want to leave this a session of care so that when you submit to CCS, everything gets submitted properly. As you guys may be aware, owners partnered with a merchant, they're called Fat Zebra, and we allow you guys to direct debit your families. Now, the only cost that the direct debit that the merchant has is the transaction fee. There's a 65-cent transaction fee for direct debits made through bank accounts, and there's a 1.6% plus 10 cents transaction fee for card payments, right? These fees can either be absorbed by the center or passed on to parents, and you choose your options here, okay? By default, these are both unticked, which means the center will absorb the 65 cents and the parents will pay the credit card cost, okay? If you want to change that, just tick the boxes accordingly. Pass on all the fees, absorb all the fees, so on and so forth, Okay, it's important you do this prior to sending out the direct debit forms and getting people on the app, because it will affect what they see. Okay, anything that's absorbed by the center won't be shown on the parent side, and anything that the parent needs to pay will be shown. Cool. The other thing we allow you to do on your direct debit form is show or not show whether the parent can choose their own frequency and billing days. So this will depend up to the center. If you guys have set days that you bill your families and set days that you debit them, then you want to leave this off. If you allow your parents to choose, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day they want of the week to pay, then you can turn that on. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like. With this, is there an option for a debit start date? No. So Alicia, there's no debit start date because the center will be taking care of all the debits. Okay, so the parents will signify that they want, for example, if you turn that on, fortnightly Tuesday, let's say, right? Or let's say you didn't turn it on at all, they'll just complete a direct debit form. It will go on their account, and then you would just generate your invoices whenever it's in line with your invoicing. And then they would just be debited based on the attendances that they have. Okay, so let's say, for example, the center bills 2 weeks in advance, and that family has, attendances for the next 2 weeks, and they'll be debited accordingly. Does that make sense? And invoiced accordingly. Okay, so I may need to ask families what date due to paydays. Repeat that question. Didn't quite understand that. Right. While you repeat the question, I'm going to move on with this. So you also have the ability on the app for parents to make one-off payments directly into their accounts. Okay. The great thing about that is it bypasses having to pay you to your bank account and then you having to manually reconcile that credit and add it into their account manually, right? That's by default on. If you want that off, you can turn it off. Just note, with one-off payments through the app, parents will need to do it through a credit card. Okay, so whatever credit card fees you have will obviously apply to those one-off payments. Awesome. These mark paid and edit invoice buttons, just leave them unchecked. They're sort of older features and we don't really use them as much anymore. Okay, they're just there for centers that may already have it on their center. The great thing about Ono is everything from an accounts point of view can actually be automated. We always recommend you guys start for the first 1 or 2 weeks manually, but then you can actually automate it all. Okay, and you can automate it in stages. So you can automate the invoicing as one thing and the debits as another. So you might want to, for example, start off completely manual, then automate just the system to generate your invoices, and then you click the button to debit, or you might just want to automate it all in one go, or you manually generate the invoices and the system auto debits. Whatever the case is, you can adjust that. Okay. But as I said, take the first 1 or 2 weeks to just get to know the system, especially because balances are getting brought across from your old system. You just want to make sure that all goes through smoothly for the first 1 or 2 weeks, and then turn on the auto. Get in touch with our support team to make sure everything's done correctly, and then off you go. Cool. I would recommend just having this transactional method ticked. It's our sort of newer invoicing style, and it's improved on a lot of features from the past. Okay. And as part of yesterday's training and what Ono's rolling out, which is to do with fee integrity and also transactional integrity, we now have the ability to limit transaction items to be preset only, and only be able to use from the preset rather than the ad hoc. Okay, if you want to turn that on, you can turn that on. And as we said earlier, there is that training done earlier from my colleague that you guys can see on YouTube as well. Awesome. Okay, quick question. Is this done at a particular time of day if you choose to automate the invoices and direct debits? Great question. So what's going to happen is with the invoices, they'll be done in the morning. Because we know that CCS comes in on Monday, we delay the invoices to around midday, right? 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, that's sort of when they kick off. Whereas with debits, they just go throughout the whole day. From the beginning of the day, like we're talking 12 a.m. in the morning kind of thing, all the way through. And all it's doing is it's pushing your debits to the queue. And then the debits will be actually taken from the direct debit company at 5 p.m. daily. Okay. So we always recommend you push your debits to the queue, whether you're doing it manually or automatically, anytime before 4 o'clock to make sure that they have that time to actually hit the queue. hit the sorry, whatever you call it, like, you know, the gateway, as we like to refer to it as, and then the merchant will just debit everyone at the end of the day. Okay, so when you're talking about from a parent's point of view, they'll be debited at the end of each day. Cool. And there's a debit run that happens every single day for centers that want to be able to bill families on whatever day of the week. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to try this. Sometimes this works for me, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm going to try to see if I can get you a nice little screenshot of what the parents see. All right, so on the app, the parents have the ability to go on and complete the direct debit form, okay? And this is what they're going to see when they go there. Now, we'll talk about accounts in a second and having the correct permissions, but basically, as soon as they, as long as they have the correct permissions, they go into the direct debit form, they can choose whether they want to pay by credit card or direct debit. And if you've given them that ability, they'll now have this frequency and day selector as well, okay? They'll sign off on it, and then as soon as that direct debit form is complete, that will go and sit on their account, and the center will be notified by email, okay? I'll see if I have... perfect. So once they've selected the option that they want, whether it's debit or credit, depending on what fees you have passed on to them, they'll be able to see those here. One of the fees that I didn't mention is the direct debit rejection. So our merchant only charges a rejection fee for bank accounts, and it's $2.50. Okay, there's currently no rejection fee for credit cards, right? So just keep that in mind. So if they do choose bank account, that will automatically show there for them that the $2.50 fee applies. Awesome. And then maybe I have it here, possibly. Let's see if I have it. Yeah, perfect. Similarly on the app, when they go to their statements and invoices. So let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay. That's good. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, what did I do? I zoomed in, but then I didn't scroll properly. Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right, so this is what the parents will see once they click on the statements and invoices section. In the top right-hand corner, they'll be able to click the direct debit form. As they move along, they'll see their latest invoice at the top of their screen, and they'll be able to view that in more detail by clicking here, and then they'll be able to see their running statement. Okay. As this loads, once they go to the bottom of the statement, here's where they'll be able to see that make one-off payment that we were talking about earlier. So you can trigger that on or off depending on your settings. Cool. And that's it. So now all your accounts are set up. From a hierarchy point of view, we can actually get into the nitty-gritty of the accounts. So when we talk about accounts in owner, they always live under families, family accounts. Okay. And owner's broken up into 3 levels. This is how I like to think of it. You've got your children, you've got your carers and guardians, and then you've actually got the account as a whole. Okay. Now your children and your carers and guardians, they're also linked. Okay. They can be linked under the children's menu here, children, view, or children. And you'll see, like, for example, under the relationships and permissions, who's linked, who's the primary carer, the secondary carer, all the emergency contacts, and so on and so forth, right? And you can even assign different access levels on who has full access, sign in, sign out access, and all that. Now, when we're talking about these 2 levels, this is only level 1 and 2, child and parents, right? This is referring to the parent communication side of things. So things like incident reports, medications, daily information, food, nappies, posts, that sort of stuff, right? When we're talking about accounts, it now unlocks level 3, which is the actual financial account itself, right? In owner, we like to keep one account for the whole family and link the multiple children to that family. And if you want to link multiple carers, that's fine as well, right? The way it works from a financial account point of view, again, we're now under families, family accounts, is this. You'll have your account, and this is the account name. So it's referred to as the Adams account. You'll have your carers and guardian. Okay, so this carer, for example, is called Pauline Testing, and this child is Sparrow Chills, right? So that's the family. Some other families might have multiple children, like you can see here, Luke and Zach, okay, or belong to Chrissy, the carer, right? And the account's called Anthony. right? This is where all the financial information will live moving forward. And as you start to populate your system and go live and start billing families and generating invoices, you then start to see the up-to-date balances. And if you guys are recording bonds, you can see that as well on this screen. The other stuff you can see on this screen is anything that's automated. So once you guys automate your schedules, your system, you can see when their next invoices are due to come out and when their next debits are due, okay? So you can actually see all of that from an automation point of view as well. Now, when it comes to this account creation, you can actually extract your accounts from your current system and load them into Owner. And when you do your accounts, we always do it in a two-stage process. Stage one is creating the accounts, and if you give us enough information, linking them up as well, right? And then stage two, or I guess it's multiple stages, but from a account creation point of view, it's two. We create the accounts, parents go on the app and they do their direct debits, right? And then stage two, once you go live, we actually extract your up-to-date balances and import them into Owner as well, okay? So we can do all that, and we have many guides on how you can do that. Anything that's outside of that, so whether you're maybe in a brand new center and you don't have an existing software, or we've done that account merge for you, but now a new family has just started, you can just add those in on an ad hoc basis from the top right-hand corner, okay? Click the little plus button, give the family an account name, link the carers as the children, and add the account. You can link as many carers as you want, okay? But just always remember that the carers are considered account holders, so only be linking someone who should have access to the finances of that family. Cool. Sometimes it's mum, dad, so it could be auntie or whatever. We leave that up to you. And if Owner ever does your linking, we generally only ever link the primary carer only, okay? So if you want secondary carer, you'll need to link those up. If you already have existing accounts, whether you've created them from your end or we've loaded them in, just by clicking on this account name here is how you access the account profile, and you can do various different things. Firstly, you can link, you can add and remove different contacts. You can see bank account details and even enter them from your end if you want. You can create limits and pause accounts, set up reminders and reminder notes, and you can even set up things like the automations, right? So you can do all that from there. Now, when we're talking about the accounts in Owner, the way it works is in the background, there's always a running statement. That will pick up everything that's happened prior to that date, right? And then you'll also have your invoices, which will be your most up-to-date latest information. Everything you haven't invoiced for yet, whether it's something that the parent hasn't paid their account, or it's something that changed. So for example, we estimated a certain amount of CCS to come in, but a different amount came in, or parents have been paying full fees up until now, but then, CCS has come in finally, and it credits their account. All of that information will always be carried over onto their latest invoice, okay? And all of that sort of information will accumulate on their statement. Now, in Owner, to access your statements, you just go to Families, Family Transactions, and you'll be able to see all the different statements. So you just select a family from the drop-down list. Let's say, for example, Max. Run that statement, and you'll be able to see that breakdown. We show you the charges, CCS credits, and the other credits / payments in these different columns, and that will affect the family's balance, okay? You'll be able to see all the attendances based on the children that are linked to that account. And then as you sort of go along, you'll be able to see, where they're up to in that particular stage. As you can see here, this family has gone through. They've been invoiced up until the 21st of August, and they, owe this much money, right? $13,012. When we generate that new invoice, it will pick up this balance and add it onto their account so that it, brings it forward, all right? So that way, the way it works from an owner perspective is the family only ever has to worry about one invoice, and then they know exactly where they're up to. Now, if that invoice is too high for the family to pay, that's where you go into their account and create things like limits and so on and so forth to sort of help them out, okay? A few things you can do from the statements here is if you're collecting payments outside of Owner, you can add transactions, okay? As well as any extra debits. So you might have a hat fee or an excursion fee or something else that needs to be charged to that account, late fee, for example. Just click this add transaction button and you can add it in, okay? Now, this is what we're talking about, this new what do you call it, transaction integrity. So if you guys are going to use adopt a new transaction method, you only have the ability to select from pre-created list of items and then use those only to be able to add transactions. If not, you'll have an ability to actually manually enter the amount. Okay, someone's turned it on from my center, so I've got the new method. But if you didn't have it on, you'll have something similar whereby at the top you'll choose whether it's a debit or credit. You'll choose what date you want to put in for it, the amount, and always put in a description. Okay, if you use this new method, the description and the item will have already been created. So for example, this is a debit, it's a bus run pickup, and it's for $2.50. I'll just choose from the selected drop-down list, choose the date and add it. Okay, doesn't matter which way you do it. You'll be able to use that to keep on top of your accounts. So if you're collecting payments outside of owner, I forgot to mention, if it's a credit, you also have the ability to record what type of credit it is. So was it a cash payment or FPOS payment, right? And you'll be able to see that, add that onto the account. And if it's a charge, it'll just pop up on the charge section here, right? So I think there was like a late fee. Let's say, for example, you have 5-minute late fees, 10-minute late fees, and so on and so forth. You can just add that from the drop-down list, add the transaction, and it'll charge that family an extra $5. Cool. The other thing you can do as well is take ad hoc payments. So you click take payment on the left-hand side here, and you can actually take a one-off payment from the family's account as long as they've connected their direct debit details for you. So they call you up, they say, look, I know I owe you some money. I'm okay to pay $500 today. You can come to their account, enter in $500, enter in a description, a fee payment, for example, and take that, okay? That will then obviously reduce their balance, add that credit to the account, and so on and so forth. Cool. Does anyone have any questions up until now? I can see some people on Facebook, some people on the Zoom chat as well. There's a lot of people coming in and out as we go along, which is great to see. Is there anything outstanding? Is this all making sense, firstly? And secondly, do you have any questions on this?
Hi, can you hear me? The recording, I think.
So I'm not sure if someone's on the Zoom, but if you want to ask a question, just locate the chat box. So there should be a little chat box where you can actually type in. I'll just type in the chat box. I'm just putting a message on the chat box where you can actually type in your questions. The reason we do that is just mute the microphones just for the background noise, just because we record these sessions, that's all. Awesome. If you have the question, just pop it in there and I'll answer it. But until I see it, I'll just keep going on. So as we mentioned before, you can also then generate your latest invoices, right? So give me a sec. I don't see as parents day and week or fortnightly. Oh, okay. So if you can't see the ability to choose the days or weeks, that's because under CCS, activate update details, you haven't given them that permission. So this is what we were talking about before. Allow parents to choose frequency or billing days, okay? By default, it's off. So you'll need to tick that if you want to see that option. Awesome. No worries. All right, perfect. So you've seen what the statement looks like. And as we said, that's everything up until that point in time. When you want to generate your new invoices, you just come to manage invoices and payments. You select what period you're invoicing up until, and then you just generate your invoices. So everyone does their invoices a little bit differently. Some people bill in arrears, some people bill in advance, week of, 2 weeks in advance, term in advance, whatever the case is. That's fine. All you need to do is just select the Sunday that you want your families to be invoiced up until. So let's say, for example, I bill 1 week in arrears. So it's the 30th of August. I want all my families to be billed up until the 28th. I just select 28th, all families, and then click generate invoices. Okay. If you're in that situation where you don't want all your families to build up until 28th, because you might have some families on weekly, some families on fortnightly, and so on and so forth, you can actually tag them as well. Okay. And we do have a separate training on how you create tags in O9 and apply them to accounts. But once you've applied all your tags to your accounts, It's as simple as going, for example, my weekly families, I want them invoiced up until the 28th. So you generate those invoices. However, my fortnight, let's say, for example, fortnight A families. I thought I had it something else. Fortnightly families, let's say I want them up until the 4th. Okay. And then I click generate. And that will just generate all your families that are selected by those tags. Okay. So again, every center is going to be a little bit different on how they build their families. But if you're doing everyone on the same, you just select all families from here. And then owner also gives you the ability to select, individual families. So instead of having to remember which families are, fortnightly and which families are weekly and having to select each one by one, you can just categorize them into tags. Okay. If you're doing if you're using owner for invoicing, you'll create an invoice tag. But if you're also using owner for debiting, you'll create a debit tag, right? And that video goes through how that works. And then basically, you got all your invoices. Let's say, for example, let me just do one quickly for you. 28th. All right. So I'll do. I'm just gonna give me a sec, guys. I'm just going to refresh the screen and start again. So I'm just going to generate my invoice for the 28th, right? I'm just going to select one family for this example and then click generate, okay? In your case, as we said before, you'll choose all families. The process will be the same. You'll just have a lot more invoices, that's all. What happens is you click generate. There's a pop-up box that says, have you checked all your attendances? Make sure they're all correct for this period you're invoicing up until. And if everything's correct, all your accounts are linked up properly, you'll see a successful message at the top here. Once you get that successful message, just come to the invoice history, click the get invoices, and you'll be able to see all of your invoices on the screen. Okay. This will show you one. So in your cases, every family will have its own individual line. Okay. And you'll see the new period that you've invoiced up until. So in this case, up until the 28th. What happens when you generate a new invoice is, like, silently, I guess we can say it, all these old invoices kind of become redundant because all this old information is now being transferred across onto the new invoice. So as we said before, if there's amounts outstanding, as you can see here, $13,000 wasn't paid, it's now being carried over onto their new invoice. Okay, so that $13,000 has already been reflected in this new invoice. We don't have to worry about this old invoice anymore. Okay. Similarly, if you had changes that happened, whether it's accounts like attendances changes or CCS related changes or whatever, they'll be all reflected into your new invoices. Okay. If you ever want to see an invoice and the full breakdown, you can click the little printer button on the right hand side, and that will show you the exact breakdown of that family, where they started at, what charges have come onto their account, what credits have come onto their account, and how we derive to that sort of total balance, right? So what this is saying is, as of 15th of August, they were owing $12,000 outstanding. They had all these charges come in. They seem to be maybe a staff discount applied to this family's account. So they get, sort of a slight credit applied to their account each day, but they haven't paid their account for quite a while. Their new fees and charges have come in, and then that's where they now owe $13,700, right? The way it would work is if they paid this amount here, they would be caught up until that end period that we've invoiced them up until, which in this case is August 28th. So if I clear my balance, I'll be paid up until August 28th and I'll be up to date. Awesome. You guys can put your own bank details on the invoices as well if you're still allowing parents to pay you outside of owner, and you do that under center info. Okay, put your details there and you can do that. And we even have BPay options, but it won't be automated. Okay, so you'll need to update each account individually, but you can have BPay facility on the invoice if you still use BPay for your service. Cool. Once you guys have active connections, you will also at the bottom of the screen see a breakdown of all your different attendances. So here it shows you like a summary. There's 5 attendances: Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll be able to actually see which exact attendances the new invoice is picking up. All right. Unfortunately, my dummy center doesn't show that, but you'll see it on your end. Awesome. And the last thing when it comes to accounts is debiting. So if you guys have connected the merchant and everything's ready to go, you can actually debit your families. So you can actually click this debit latest reference button on the day you want the debits to come out, and it will debit all your families, right? Now, the way it works is if my hypothetical example is all of my families get generated their invoices, they all pay for 1 week in arrears. But in my hypothetical situation, everyone gets debited on a specific day. Let's say, for example, Tuesday, which is today. I click this button, right? It's going to debit everyone that has this period. So period ending August 28th. So the latest one, right? It's going to disregard everything else. It's only going to debit families which have an outstanding amount, okay? And the amount will be here on the right-hand side. If you don't want that total amount to come out, this is where you would go onto the account and put a limit, okay? You can put a limit so that that will be the new amount that comes out, and no more than this amount will come out on that account, okay? Especially if the family owes a lot of money or so on and so forth. And if you don't want any money to come out at all, sorry, I forgot to mention, go onto the account and you can actually pause their debits, all right? Just keep in mind that if you pause a family, you will need to unpause them manually once, like you'll need to actually take the pause off once you don't want them, once you want them back into the debit queues, okay? If you want them indefinitely paused, you can just pause them and then that's it. And that's how it would work. If the family is in credit, this balance will be green. I don't know if I have any to show you. I'll check all the invoices and see. I don't think we do. Here at our center, we don't really collect payments very well. So I don't think I'm ever going to see anyone in credit. No, I don't have it, but you'll get the understanding that where here it says debit, it'll just be in green, it says credit. Okay. Now, one thing to note, once your invoices have been generated, because we do get this question a lot, they will be available on the app for parents to view, but no one will be notified. Okay. So once and we do that on purpose. So it gives the center the ability to just go in, have a look at the invoices, check the amounts and make sure they're, on par with what they were expecting, and then click that button up here, send notification. So that way, if you see your invoices and they're not quite right, we don't want to notify the parents just yet so they don't freak out and go, what's wrong? Why was the amount so high or so, whatever the case may be. Because you have issues sometimes with CCS getting delayed and not getting submitted on time, and so on and so forth, right? So we allow the center to, the invoices will get generated, whether it's manually or automatically. The center will go in, check them, notify the families when they're ready, just by clicking that button. Okay, and it'll just notify everybody that owes money. So it's nice and easy in bulk. Cool. Quick question. What is the amount highlighted in red? Great question. So this amount here is just a fluctuation. So all this is saying right here is that based on the previous invoice generated for this family, this amount is actually $731 higher, okay, than previously. So this 13,012. So I think it's around $20 or $30. If the discrepancy is more than $20 or $30, then you'll see this bubble. Okay. But keep in mind, if they pick up extra days, if they haven't paid their accounts, and so on and so forth, then obviously that bubble will appear there, just to sort of alert you. Okay. And also just keep you more in touch with your accounts. That's all. Awesome. Great question. Let me just think. I'm just thinking if I've missed anything. No, accounts. Oh yeah, one more thing. So if you're in that situation where you have to use tags to generate your invoices, and you're also debiting your families, you'll also then just use your tags to debit your families. Okay. While you're manually doing this, you'll need to push your debits to the merchant daily. And all you do, for example, is you'll have, for example, a Monday weekly tag. You put Monday weekly, get invoices. It's only going to show your families that are selected as Monday weekly. And then you click the debit latest reference. Okay. So in your case, it's only debiting your Monday families, not anyone else. Okay. On Tuesday, you would repeat the process and so on and so forth. If you're doing Monday, if you're doing, like, for example, weekly and fortnightly, make sure you do your Monday weekly, put them to the queue, and then do your fortnightly ones. So you might have fortnight A or whatever the case is. Yep, like that. Monday, fortnight A, run the invoices, and then put them to the queue as well. Anytime you push someone to the queue manually, right, you're going to see this auto debit tag here. and it'll be for today's date. Okay, that's how you know you've successfully added that invoice to the queue to be processed. Okay, the system will then just start going through your invoices and processing them, and you'll see this status change to processing. Once the debit actually kicks off at 5 p.m., then that's it. It's taken. One thing to note is once that debit's taken, and we can't stop it. So if you call us the next day and you took debit for something you shouldn't have, unfortunately, it's too late. And another thing to note is sometimes with credit cards, they instantly get fired off. So we actually can't stop them either. Okay. If you ever want debit stopped, the best chance to do is call owner support on the day you do it, and we'll let you know if we can or cannot stop it. All right. Because sometimes they're just in the queue and they're just processing. They're like waiting to be processed. We can actually stop them. But yeah, the best chance you can get from that is call us on the same day. The next thing to note is once those debits have been fired off, it'll take up to 72 hours to hit your bank account. Okay. So it'll take it from the parent's account, assess whether it's whether it's going to reject or not. Sometimes rejections, and this is very important to note, sometimes some banks will actually take the payment first, hold it for a day, then realize that it's overdrawn the account and return it back to the customer. Okay, so it's important to wait those days for the final process to see whether or not the payment did actually get collected or wasn't collected, and you can re-invoice them or re-debit them or so on and so forth. Cool. Now, as we mentioned earlier, you can actually automate the whole process. So once you're ready, you can come to family accounts, and at the bottom of your family accounts, let's take that back one step. At the beginning of the training, we're talking about the options. So under CCS, activate update details, here is where you would actually turn it on. Okay, turn on your either invoicing or your debits, right? And then once the system's on, that's what I was meant to mention, you can come to your family accounts and come all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see this section here, bulk set automatic billing for your families. All right. Now, the way it works is this top section here is about invoicing. This debit day section is about actually debits, like taking payments from families. Cool. So you'll select what day you want to invoice your families and for what period. So is it in arrears? Is it in advance? And so on and so forth. And what families it applies to. If you have already selected, created tags for your families, you can actually use these tags to create your automations. All right. So you can say, for example, if anyone has a weekly tag, create this invoice schedule, right? If you're not using tags, you can just select the family filters here. You can either select some families by holding down Control/Command, selecting the ones that it applies to, and it will only apply it to those families only. Or if you wanted to select everybody, just click the first account, scroll down to the bottom, hold down Shift on your keyboard and select the last one, right? That will just select everybody in between, and then you select your, you create your schedule. So the way it works is like this. Next billing date is the exact day you want invoices to go out. You can create anything from Monday through to Sunday, okay? Some people will generate the invoices throughout the week. Some people will do them over the weekend, okay? So it's available first thing on Monday to view for parents. You select your day, let's say hypothetically it's Tuesday. One thing to note is if that day has already passed, like today, this is the 30th of August right now, I can't set up automation for 30th of August. It always has to be a future date onwards. So we'll only be able to do 31st onwards, but I want it to be a Tuesday, for example, I'll just do next Tuesday, the 6th, right? Then the next thing you want to note is the period starting. So this will always be a Monday, okay? And it'll be for what period your invoice will be from. So generally what's happened is you would have invoiced your families up until a certain point in time. So when I'm generating my invoices on the 6th of September, right? I would have already invoiced my families up until the 28th, okay? But I want my new invoice to be automatically generated for this period of the 29th. So I'll select 29th here, okay? So what this is doing is on the 6th of September, generating my invoice for 1 week prior, okay? If I'm 1 week in advance, if I'm week of, let's say, for example, I would select the 5th. 1 week in advance, the 12th. 2 weeks in advance, the 19th. I want my invoices to go out Friday, select Friday, okay? So on the 9th of September, okay, which is a Friday, I will then be invoicing my families starting from the 19th, okay? And then the week filter here, you select for how many weeks you're invoicing. If you do it for 1 week, it will then repeat the pattern every week and then hence the weeklies. If you do it for 2 weeks, it will just repeat the pattern every 2 weeks and hence the fortnightlies, right? In Owner, we can only automate things only up until 4 weeks. And if you're focusing on monthly families, we do it in 4-week patterns, okay? So the automation doesn't allow you to choose, for example, 30th of every month. But what you can do is just invoice for every 4 weeks and then repeat the pattern, okay? And then down here, you'll be able to select what day families pay, okay? Again, from the family filter or the tag filter, what day you want the families to pay. If it's everyone on the same day, just select everybody and select the day, all right? That will basically just bill everyone on that particular day. And that's it. If you want to, again, select only some families, you can as well. And the most important thing to note is we're doing it in bulk here, but things can be changed individually for each family under their account. Just click on the account name and you can create that automatic schedule just for this one family or this debit day just for this one family, okay? Everyone's on Thursday except for this one family, which is Friday. So you might just want to do everyone as Thursday, come to that one account and change it to Friday, okay? Perfect. All right, so someone's asking, one of my accounts has a limit of $0. Click on the account name and you may just see a 0 here. I don't know, let's test it. It might not work because I'm on. Let me try something to test this with you live. I'm on auto, so if I'm not on auto. One thing to note, guys, if you're on auto, it's then going to force your families to have schedules, and if you're on debits, force debits, so no one gets left behind, okay? So only turn those on when you're ready. Archer. There you go. Debit limit 0, okay? So just click on Archer, and then you might just see a 0 here. Just remove it, okay? Make sure it's blank, and then update, and your limit will be gone away. There you go. Nice. So I've done a lot of the talking, but now it's your turn. Your turn to ask questions on whatever you want. I also just want to bring up my slides. I was talked about adding transactions, ad hoc. Yeah. I feel like I've talked about everything I want to, so now it's your turn to ask questions. If for whatever reason you need to jump off, that's fine. Message us here at support@owner.com.au if you need any help, okay, with anything along the way. All right, take it away, guys. The floor is yours. If you're on Facebook or on Zoom, ask whatever questions you want and we can go through them. Okay, good question. So it's this is a little bit more tricky. So bear with me, guys. Okay. How can a third party pay some of a family's account? I have a family needing financial assistance and a government department will pay 2 days a week. All right. You'll need to actually split this up. Okay. You need to actually create 2 instances of the child. 2 days will be under, let's say, I think they call it dowry most of the time, or AMEP or something like that, right? So you'll create a child called AMEP and you'll create the normal child that you already have. The AMEP one, and especially because the family might still be collecting CCS, but these third-party payments don't get any CCS. They're paid at full fees. That's why we split it all up, okay? It might be a good idea to contact support as well in your specific case, but just to give you guys the real quick brief, you create 2 different children, one, let's say Johnny AMEP and Johnny normal. You create 2 family accounts, okay? Johnny's normal family account, and you'll create an AMEP account here, right? With the AMEP account, you'll link the AMEP child here, and obviously the days will be, based on who pays what. So the 2 days, and a government department. So the government's paying for 2 days, right? So that AMEP Johnny will have those 2 days on their profile. So only those 2 days will ever filter on this AMEP account at full fees. You can then send them the invoices and statements from owner directly, okay? One thing to note is anytime you're on invoices or statements, right, you can actually print off things in the top right-hand corner. So you click on this little printer button and that opens up just that one person's invoice. click that little printer and you can save it as a PDF. Okay, so in those government situations, that's what you'll do because they won't have access to the app. You'll save it as a PDF and send it to them. Really quickly on that note, no, I don't want to do that. On the left-hand side here, we do have our little trainings and tutorials section, tutorial guides, just specifically for you at Cambridge Hill here. This will help you out a lot. Coming to our tutorial guides, under, where is it? CCS usage, I'm pretty sure. This one. So this training here is child with 2 primary contacts. It's similar to what we're talking about right now, but this training is more focused on, mum pays half the account, dad pays half the account. You apply the same logic, you just will have one for a business rather than a person. That's all. Cool. All right. With the fee matrix, is there a plan to add absent fee? What do you mean? You've already got absent fee. You just create. Are you just saying a holiday rate? No, not a holiday. Like a. Sorry. Can you just repeat that question? With the fee matrix, is there a plan to add absent fee? Are you charging a different amount for your absences? Is that what I'm understanding? Alicia, if you can just elaborate a little bit, I might be able to answer that one. How can I print a manual roll each day for my educators? We use these rolls for notes. Okay, so 2 things here. When you're on your admin portal, you have under reports here on the left-hand side, the ability to see your attendances as a daily view or a weekly view, okay? I'm just going to show you the weekly view quickly. But what happens is at the bottom of that report, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can export to Excel, okay? On the daily, we only have an Excel export, right? Which then, it exports to Excel. It has all the different columns. You can remove whatever columns don't apply to you and create your own columns as well. On the weekly attendances, we have this section up here with this little next to the printer, sorry, this little person icon. If you click on that, you'll see here, it says print weekly attendances. You click on that there, and it will give you an attendance sort of sheet and what days each child attends. You'll have the ability to show or hide the contacts and also the ability to filter the rooms based on the room level, or even if you guys are using your own tags throughout the system, you can use those as well to filter, okay? Then you can save those as PDFs and whatever you need to do. Awesome. Okay, so that answers that question. And with Alicia, so yes, we charge difference for absences. So in your fee matrix, just create an absent rate. So what you'll do is under rooms, which one did he use? I think he used this one for the training. Preschool, yeah, webinar special. Okay, let's say this webinar special is what you'd call your normal rate, $125. You'll just create an absent rate. Okay, and keep in mind, this absent rate is only specific to this room, preschool, right? So if the normal rate for preschool is 125, but the absent rate is, I don't know, $100, you just put $100 here. Does that make sense? And then add that to the fee matrix. And then once you have that selected, so webinar special, yeah, perfect. And then once you have those fee matrices created, firstly, you'll be able to see them from this room matrix report here, see all your different rates, right? All your different, what do you call it? Throughout the whole service, or you can just filter by room. All my preschool rates, you can see them here. So you might have a specific staff rate for the preschool room. You might have a casual rate. You might have a whatever, full rate, holiday rate, absent rate, etc. And then, depending on what you've got created, when you're actually in your attendances, whether it's daily or weekly or the children's attendances, doesn't matter which one, any of the attendance screens will work. Click the little edit button that's associated. And then because this child's in the preschool, I'll be able to select any of the rates from that preschool room, okay? So let's say I want to create, I don't know, half day rate. Let's just assume the half day rate is the one that we want. So normally it's 125 or whatever it was. Normally it's, 125, let's say. And then I want to charge 75. I just select this here, update the attendance, and you'll see this Tuesday attendance. Was it the Tuesday one? Oh, I don't think, you know what? I don't think I can edit it. There you go. Never mind. I just did a refresh and it comes up. On Tuesday, they now just get billed $75. Cool. Awesome. All right. Different questions. Do we need to set up the ability to SMS families? You don't need to set it up. It's already available for you under Center, Notification/SMS. Okay. And how is this billed? If you look here, so send SMS to parents, you can choose which families you're messaging, right? And then the fee will be 5 cents per message per phone number. All right. Awesome. And then you'll be able to see all the different SMS messages that you have created, the cost associated with those, and then those costs will just be added to your monthly bills. That's it. Awesome. Nice little questions. Just letting you guys know, I know the questions are a little bit more broad spectrum now. We're not just doing accounts. We do have questions and answers tomorrow as well. All right. So if you have very specific questions about different areas of the program, Wednesday is going to be the good one for that moving forward. Awesome. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been an hour. I wasn't sure how long this would take. So, maybe in due time, we'll get better at the time aspect of it. But it's been really great. Does owner provide private training sessions? Yeah. So with private trainings, we try to focus on one-to-many because we know that the questions that will get asked in the private training might be able to benefit other people as well. Okay. If you want to organize a private training, just get in touch with our team. There are certain costs associated with that as well. I don't remember off the top of my head that we may be able to organize. But just keep in mind that because we have a lot of training guides and tutorials and videos already available, the first thing we're generally going to recommend you do is just give us a list of what you need help with. We'll send you some resources because we might already have that resource available for you. Like my colleague the other day, he did a roster and timesheets training, right? It's available on our YouTube channel and throughout, our portals and whatnot that people can just access. If you want a private training on that, there's no point in billing you for it. We've already got it. We'll send it to you. We recommend you guys watch it, ask any questions, and then if you need further training from that, we can, get in touch, create a quotation for you, and go from there. All right. But definitely get in touch with the support team if you need that. We try and open up as many channels that we can for support. And if you feel that, a private one might be better, especially if you have multiple services, that can be arranged as well. Definitely. Awesome, guys. No worries at all. All right. I think we'll wrap it up there. There's probably enough of me talking that you want to hear in one day. We'll can it all there for you guys. I hope you guys had some nice value from this training. We really appreciated all the comments and questions that came my way. It's really good. Shows that these trainings are what people are after. As I said, we will have weekly trainings, questions and answers tomorrow, staff app on Thursday, and CCS on Friday. If you guys are joining the CCS one, I'll be taking it. So I'll see you there. Hope you all have a fantastic day. Again, I'm going to put that up really quickly for the end of the training. Always get in touch if you ever have questions. We're here to support you. Okay. That's the main message I want to get out there. That's why we create these trainings for you to help you out. All right. Hope you all have a fantastic day and we'll see you guys in the next training. Bye, everyone.